We are live. We are live. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are live. And this morning on the Huddle community, I have a question for you. Are you a person, a content creator who's been thinking about doing daily content, live streaming every day? Wanting to know, hey, look, is this something I can maybe do in 2024? But you just don't know what the advantages and the disadvantages is in live streaming or posting content every day. Well, this morning on the Huddle, we're going to get into this topic and discussion on the pros and cons on live streaming every day. And we're starting right now. Praise the Lord, everyone. Welcome to the Huddle. I'm your host, Walter Strong, where we share tips and tools on making live streaming easy for you as a beginner. And so if you're new here this morning, let me know in the chat where you're watching me from. Give me a hashtag Team Live. And if you're watching the replay, give me a hashtag Team Replay in the comments section and where you're watching me from. And so as I said in our opening hook this morning, we're going to get into the topic in the discussion of the pros and cons of daily content, live streaming daily. You know, early a couple of years ago, this was something that was very popular, especially unfortunately because of the pandemic. Live streaming became something that we all could gravitate to because we can engage in a live audience instead of just watching a uploaded video that our favorite YouTuber or content creator posted. Live stream gave us an opportunity to be able to engage with the live stream host. It gave us the ability to be able to have a live experience with the host. And depending on the frequency and how often the person went live, it helped to build a community with that host and those who were also watching it. But then there were others who wanted to live stream and they say, hey, look, I want to live stream every day. They had their reasons, whether if it was for Vlogmas, if it was for Lita, live streaming every day, live streaming for a challenge. I remember early during the pandemic, Pat Flynn, he would live stream for 365 days because it was a way of being able to deal and to cope with the pandemic, but at the same time, add value to his viewers on the content he was sharing. So this is something that pretty much still exists today. But if you are a person who's thinking about doing it, I think you need to consider doing it, understanding the pros and the cons of daily content live streaming. And so I have a guest this morning that we're going to bring on and share his personal experience on daily content live streaming and the pros and cons that he's learned. So let me get over to his bio. Just allow me to turn over to the other screen, give you a bit of information about him. My guest today, in 2022, he started his live stream prayer request chat as a way, listen now, as a way to cope with several friends and family members who during the pandemic who had passed away. So he wasn't doing it for Vlogmas. He wasn't doing it for a live stream challenge. He was doing this as a way of coping with the different losses that he experienced during the pandemic. As a result of doing this, his platform provided support not only for himself, but for his viewers who were coming in, tuning in with him every day, watching him and helping them to deal with their similar experiences. As his live stream began to grow, he began to understand uh, the different pros and cons from him live streaming daily, and not only how it impacted him, but how it impacted his viewers. And so this morning, I want to bring on a dear good friend who's been watching the huddle from a distance when he told me when we first talked, been watching from a distance, and we just begin to develop a relationship. So this morning, I want to bring on the host of Prayer Request Live, Mr. James Bush Jr. And as soon as I get, there we go, over here, boom, here he is. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Coach Strong. What's going on with you, man? This is my live stream, Coach, right here. So it's good to be on again with you. Thank you. This is a blessing to have another beautiful day and to be able to share. I think that's the blessing, is to share experiences with one another. And you have shared with me and hundreds through the huddle as we would get up on Saturdays and watch and see, okay, because live streaming was new for everybody. And I'm just grateful to have found your channel, learned from it, and I'm more appreciative for the relationship and friendship that God has blessed us to have. I enjoy you so much, man. Thank you so much for having me today.
Perfect. Hey, man, I'm so grateful that you were able to accept the invitation. Please do me a favor. I did my very best to give you a warm, very thoughtful and informative introduction, but you can certainly do a lot more better. Just let the Huddle community know a little more about yourself and Prayer Request Live for me.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Your introduction was spot on. Again, during the pandemic, we lost so many family members. In my particular family, we have a Facebook page that we created a few years ago so family could stay in contact, so they could encourage one another. But it put together plans for reunions, things to that effect. And it was through that aspect that I discovered, wow, we're losing family and friends to the tune of about 32 people. And I never imagined how that would affect you as you process each and every loss. But so it did take a toll on my mental health. But like you said, there was community, there was family. And one day after a men's Bible study, I was so full. We were studying the fruit of the Spirit, and I was so full and excited. I was on Facebook looking at some things, and I just pushed the live button. Well, and I don't know, that was the start of it. I've watched you, I've watched others, I've watched some of the other folks who are bigger name people in this live stream arena, and they would say, just start, just push that record button, just go. And I just kind of felt like, well, I don't really have any content or purpose or whatever. But that night I pushed live, and a couple of people popped up, and they were like, hey, what are you doing? What's going on? And I told them, I'm just full. I came from Bible study. I just went live. And one of them in our conversation just asked me, hey, could you pray for my brother? He was in a bad car accident. And I said, well, let's pray right now. And that's how this live prayer request was born. We prayed. They thanked me. They asked me, hey, I asked them, can we do this again? Is there a particular day of the week that we could maybe do this again? And they're like, let's do it every day. And I was like, whoa, that wasn't my initial thought or ideal. But I took the challenge. I said, let's see how many days we can go in a row. And it was almost a year and a half later. And these are folks that are like family to me now. They're close. It's just been an amazing journey. A lot of things learned through trial and error, but that's life. That's what life does. It will teach us through trial and error.
Definitely want to say good morning to my dear sister, Florence Donald from Equip Institute.
What's up, Miss Florence? She pops in our live stream from time to time. I'm glad to see you.
Definitely. So you got a double dose of Walter and Walter this morning. I had to look at the comment for a second. I was like, wait a minute. I said, oh, yeah, that's right. But she got well, let me go back here. See, I messed up. She says, Walter, pushed another person out of wait, you know what? No, I didn't. Pushed another person out on these live stream streets. No, I well, maybe I did. Maybe I had a little something to do with it. But as you
Yeah.
always say, I pushed you off the cliff. So there's a difference in pushing someone in the streets off the cliff, and you had a parachute and you had to open it up. So we'll get more into that. But so glad you're here this morning. So
Good
let's
to
get
see
into
you.
the content for our viewers who are just joining us. We're going to be talking about, if I get it right, the pros and cons. Oh, let's see, I'm messing up. I'm messing up even. Yeah, okay, there we go.
It's live, man.
It's live.
And there's nothing you can do.
Nothing I can
Just
do.
roll
Nothing
with
I
it.
can
Just roll
do.
with it.
There we go. Man, I tell you. We're talking about the pros and cons of daily live streaming this morning, how it's going to help or possibly hurt your YouTube channel. Or if you're a person who live streams on another platform, on how the advantages or disadvantages can be a benefit to you. So, James, let's get into the first of all the reasons, and we touched a little on the reasons. People daily live stream for challenges like Vlogmas during Christmas. They do it
Sure.
for Lita live streaming every day. Video, I think it's called Veda or
Yeah,
Vega.
yeah, yeah.
They have that, and then sometimes established YouTubers like Pat Flynn during the pandemic. I that's how I found him. He was live streaming every day, 365 during the pandemic, and I think he came on around about 12 o'clock. So he was coming on West Coast 9 o'clock, and so everyone had their reasons. But I'm just want to give you an opportunity to touch a little more your personal reason how you got into daily live streaming, and like you said, the audience sometimes as content creators, we have our reasons for wanting to daily, but in this case the audience said to you,
Mhm.
we need to do this every day.
And when they said that, like I said, I had that what you talking about, Willis look on my face. I was like, whoa, let's see what we can do on a daily. They encouraged me, and I asked them, I said, you guys would show up here every day? And they said, yeah. And I thought, oh my, okay, well, it's one of the things that I think one of the reasons was, again, we're in the pandemic. People don't think there are folks today that are still feeling the effects of that disconnect, that disenfranchising of relationships. And so initially it was good because it gave me an opportunity to see folks that I knew on a regular basis, and we could have conversation. You didn't feel so alone. So it was one way to cope with what was going on in the pandemic. And a lot of people have their comments, Walt, about the pandemic and what transpired.
Mhm.
I'd like to hear yours, but for the most part, I look at it as, if I'm just being transparent, I think it was God allowing us to have a reset, man. We got to do a reboot and reprioritize things in our lives, like family, like relationships.
Mhm.
And so for me, that was one of the most telling reasons. Was people, we got to hang out, we got to form community, we got to connect on a daily basis.
Mhm. Mhm. Definitely. And you raise a good point, because during the pandemic, like you said, that opportunity where you couldn't go to work,
Right.
you couldn't go watch a sporting event, you couldn't go to a Beyonce concert or a Taylor Swift concert, for all our Swifties out there today who want to be at the Super Bowl. You couldn't do any traveling, and so now you're at home with family. You couldn't even go worship at church
Yeah.
and at a building. And so, like you said, it forced us to have to be with our families, and then it introduced us to virtual meeting tools like Zoom, and we got people more into YouTube, and it forced us to sit down and to eat with family members. But it also opened up an avenue for individuals where maybe they didn't have the ability to be with family because of, for whatever reasons, they had family, but they couldn't be with family. And so they found family community through live streaming.
Yes, sir.
They
Yes,
found
sir.
it through live streaming, and live streaming provided them the platform, the opportunity to say, I need to do this every day because now I'm connecting with other people in the Philippines. I'm connecting with people in England. I'm connecting people right down the street who may watch live streaming and they're watching me.
Absolutely.
It allowed them to be able to build, be a part of a community. So I certainly see the reasons there. And I think as a content creator, if this is something you want to do on your YouTube channel, you have to really examine your reasons. Now, James said, hey, his viewers said, hey, this is what we want. Now, these are people he ain't never met before, and they like, this was so good. Your first introduction, we want you daily. So you have to really look at those reasons why.
Mhm.
And so, hey, it's a great launching point for us as content creators to see who is in the chat with us. We have, and you talk about live streaming and building relationships. Last week's guest that we had on
Yeah, yeah.
podcasting with Ash, all the way from London, joining us this morning. It allows you to build those types of relationships.
Yes,
So
sir.
now that we have the reasons, now let's get into the pros. And going in, we may not necessarily see the advantages or the pros, but once you come on to the other side, you begin to see, hey, some of the pros that you can end up walking away with is developing your skill sets,
Mhm.
learning to be consistent, filling out a content library that, like you said, you didn't have when you first started, and now you can look and say, man, I got all this content here.
Yes, sir.
So just touch on a little more about those three things or something else that you gain from your pros of live streaming every day.
Well, again, one of the pros was creating a community and having engagement with them. We talked about that, and that was important for my mental health. That helped me to get out of that mindset that we come into. You're familiar with the expression imposter syndrome. Sometimes we feel like, hey, why would somebody listen to me? I'm not really a subject matter expert. But then we all have gifts, talents, and abilities that we've been blessed with. And you never know what your testimony, what your story, and we need to hear one another's stories and experiences to encourage one another. And that's one of the benefits I think that came for me, was being able to share. I'm talking to people who lost one or two family members, and they're looking at me like, you lost 32? Explain. How do you do that? How do you deal with that? And so it opens up more communication. That was one of the keys I think that I took away as a pro.
Mhm.
And then, like you said, there's a skill set that develops. So many people encourage you. Now, let me give you some context first, because
Sure.
I'm the guy, if I buy a new piece of equipment or gear, I'm the guy that opens the box, take out the instructions, says, okay, plug in outlet, push the on button. I'm that guy. I follow those instructions because I want to know, make sure I'm doing this thing properly. And then there are other people who will just plug it in and push buttons and go. So this was a way for me to come out of shift my paradigm, if you will, because I was
Mhm.
never really that person. And so I got to develop some skills of just going live on the fly. For
Mhm.
instance, you
Mhm.
you, you said something and it makes me laugh now, because I'm thinking in the beginning, oh man, I would panic. I push a button on my lovely stream deck here and expect a graphic to come up, and it doesn't come up. And in the beginning, I didn't have my audio corrected. I didn't know what was going on, so I was trying to use some software and different things, and I've got this echo and slapback going on, and that would terrify me. It almost made me want to stop doing this, because that
Mhm.
imposter syndrome, or that what's the term I'm looking for, when people you're seeking to be perfect and you can't. It's live.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I've learned another thing that was helpful to me is stop sweating the small stuff.
Mm.
If the content is good,
Mhm.
If the connection is genuine and authentic,
Mhm.
stop sweating the small stuff. And so that has changed my life, man. That has been so I appreciate having that aspect. And so I got to become more technical. I got to watch YouTube videos with people like my man Walt. I got to watch YouTube videos and learn from people who are already doing it. And you guys saved me some steps, and you know, like that's one of the blessings that came out of the pandemic and the whole YouTube population, is that there's so many people that are maybe a few steps ahead of you, and they're leaving breadcrumbs for you to
Mhm.
follow. And I took those and kind of ran with that. So I did get to build my my tech side. I'm a techie guy anyway, so
Mhm.
it was fun to learn some new skill sets and to build that. And then the other part is I had to think about content,
Mhm.
which I felt like my content was going to be a lot different than others, because I wasn't trying to build a business
Mhm.
where you have a whole different set of strategies and mindset. I wasn't trying to do that. I was trying to say, how can I come live and be there for people and pray? I know how to pray. That I
Mhm.
already know how to do. So,
Okay.
okay. So my content started to shift, and I started thinking, well, what can I do? Can I give them a word of encouragement as we're winding? Because my live stream happens toward the end of the evening, 9 o'clock Central Standard Time. So I'm thinking, as you're winding your day down, you're getting ready to rest, how good would it be to have a just a word from the word, and
Mhm.
then we can pray for one another, and then we can go to sleep. Well, so that it's kind of like the niche I kind of fell into, kind of created the content, because I mean,
Mhm.
I'm using the word of God. I'm like, there's unlimited content there. So
Right.
it's like
Right.
I was looking at my stats the other day, over 454 videos, and I'm
Mm.
like, my goodness. And I said, well, where do you get all that content? I had God's word. I'm like, hey man, there's plenty of content in there. And so I was just saying, listen, that's going to be my niche. That's how I'm going to work this thing out. And then you get to have the real time feedback, man. There's nothing more important to me than to have somebody. I had a young lady 2 weeks ago. She was very nervous about a surgery she was going to have. And she
Mhm.
came on our live stream and said, would you pray for me? Okay, we prayed. This week, she comes back. Surgery went well. I'm resting. I feel so much better. Thank you all for praying for me, and and our wonderful prayer warriors in the stream. We're just praising God for her having the confidence and the courage to trust Him. And so my point is, that's real time. There are things that
Mhm.
you get
Mhm.
real time in a live stream that they just bless your life. There is a blessing coming on live.
There you go. There, and as you said, don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah.
Man, I be sweating brother, man, we be sweating buckets up here. But hey, we're talking about the pros and cons of live streaming daily. If you're getting great value, clear my throat here. If you're getting great value this morning, do me a favor, click that thumbs up button, share this on your favorite social media platform. Let me know in the comment section, the chat, where you're watching us from, and we're going to continue on. So we talked about the pros. Let's get now into the cons, because maybe not cons, but the disadvantages that we have to make sure we guard against, such as burnout, such as our
Mm,
getting discouraged. But I want to kind of give you the mic and kind of share what were some of the cons or disadvantages that not only impacted you, but impacted your audience. Because sometimes we just think about how it's affecting ourselves.
yeah, yeah. That's the coach in you coming out, um, and
Mhm.
thinking from both sides of that coin.
Mhm.
Well, the first thing I would list is it's not all sunshine and daffodils. It can be tough. to go live. It's time consuming. So you will definitely find yourself having to readjust your life. My wife would tell me and say, hey, let's go to a movie. Okay, that sounds good. But then I look and stop and think, say, oh, but we have to be back by such and such because I go live at 9 o'clock. So it altered our personal schedules. It altered, my daily schedule because even though I said I had the Bible as a content source, I still have to do the research. I still have to put down and develop a devotion. I have to together. So it's very time consuming. It will certainly take up some time, and it's not for the faint of heart. You definitely have to plan this stuff out. So that would be one of the first ones. And then there's pressure, like you said, going live. Until you get to a certain comfort level, there's pressures. Like I said, once I got my audio fixed correctly, I felt a lot better. And then I noticed that there's still pressure because there are things you have no control over. There would be thunderstorms that would come through.
Mm-hmm.
I can't control that. My power is out. Can't control that. Can't go live. I feel the pressure of wanting to show up every day. And at the same time, I had to learn to try to give my audience grace and tell them, listen, I'm going to try to show up here daily, but you guys don't have to. If your schedule won't allow you, you don't, because it'll burn them out to a certain extent too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I had to learn that. So there's the tech side. You definitely I'd have to make sure, don't want to be trying to just use your regular house Wi-Fi. You want to connect to a router with Ethernet. You want to have strong internet connection, especially in like what you're doing now. If you're going to have a guest, in my case, I was live streaming simultaneously to YouTube and Facebook. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
start that way, but I ended up moving there because I had some folks that told me, I don't really mess around with Facebook. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, oh, okay, well, let's accommodate them and go to YouTube, but that's more bandwidth.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of technical things you definitely have to check out. You have to learn, you have to work through as well. And always get the pulse of your audience. I think that's, because if, like you said, if you're just doing this for you,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think this is a great idea, but nobody's showing up, you're getting your answer. It's maybe not a great idea. And so I
Mm-hmm.
learned some things from you, Walt, in that regard. I learned you have to be able to, or be willing to adjust on the fly and
Mm-hmm.
make some adjustments. And sometimes they go against your initial vision. And so when that happens, you have to, as we say, you have to push ego aside so that
Mm-hmm.
you can, are you still providing value? Are you still helping people? Should always be the big picture. Am I answering a question and making your life better? If I'm not, then this is all for ego, and oh well, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's all you just I heard one person say ego is edging God out.
Yes,
So
sir.
now, if you're already edging God out, you're already going to edge out people out, because it's all about me, myself, and I, is De La Soul one song. But hey, if you have a comment, make sure you put a C in front of the comment. If you have a question, put a Q in front of the question. And I like the way how you segue into the lessons that we can learn. But before I hit the lesson part, we talked about the burnout. We talked about the burning out, not just yourself, the audience, but the missed opportunities. Can you speak to, let me just go back to the tab there. Can you speak about maybe some missed opportunities
Absolutely.
that you end up incurring because of live streaming daily?
I think one of the things was, again, because I jumped into it and I didn't have that actual background, I didn't research this or plan it out. We just kind of, we're building the plane while we're in flight. And whenever you do that, there's going to be some trepidation that comes in there. And I think one of the things that I did learn was I didn't understand. So it was easy from a concept standpoint and from a technical standpoint, I could flip a couple of buttons and guess what? I'm now simulcasting to YouTube and Facebook. But I didn't know enough about YouTube. I didn't know a lot about YouTube at all. And so I missed some opportunities in growing the channel more because of my lack of knowledge about YouTube, which once again led me to search on YouTube. And once again, I found my subject matter expert in Walter Strong III, and I could look and say, oh, well, I went live, but I don't have thumbnails. Oh, I went live, but I didn't put together a great title that would pose a question and draw people in and raise the bar. I didn't do any because I didn't know any of those things. So I jumped. That's what I said. And so jumping in without that that pre-work that you need to do, that the prerequisite stuff that you need to do can cost you. I had to go back after some consultation with my brother. I had to go back and plug in hundreds of thumbnails because I had no thumbnails, no titles, no that things are just sitting there. And I'm wondering, well, why haven't I grown? What's going on? So you got to do research. And in some cases, ladies and gentlemen, we're in the lesson section. Let me segue. In some cases, you need a mentor. You need somebody to follow, to watch, to a guide. You know, all of our favorite stories have that kind of thing where there's a protagonist and there's a hero, and but there's always this sage guide. We need our Yoda. We need our Yoda to tell us, you know, hey, you want to grow on YouTube? You want to build your brand? You want to have a strategy that will draw people in? You need somebody that's doing it and has done it. I didn't have that, and I started searching for it. And again, so I'm recommending Walter Strong and the Huddle. If you're not hearing that subtle that subtle adoration, but I'm recommending because that helped me look at and understand some things. I think the other thing that we had in our consultation that helped me, a great lesson for me, was I was starting to feel that burnout. And you don't want that because you can't be your best authentic self if you're feeling tired and burnt out. I even had participants in the stream tell James, you need to take a couple of days off, man. And I'm thinking, no, I got to show up. I got to be there. I'm the superhero. But it's like, guess what? They're really the superheroes. I listened. I talked with Walt. We talked. I scaled back. I don't go live daily anymore. I go live now Monday, Wednesday, Friday, which has freed up my life for new opportunities, for better research. And I tell you, Walt, I thank you and credit you for this, because after my first few weeks, I started going live Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at the beginning of the year. But people were telling me, man, what got into you? You were on fire on yesterday. And I think it's because I wasn't as burnt out. I could put more effort into the content. So having a coach, having a mentor, having a guide can be instrumental. And if you got to pay, my dad had an old expression, you pay, you're going to pay for what you don't know. That's his expression. He's a wise, sage old guy. But before he passed, he used to share this with me all the time. You're going to pay for what you don't know. So just be prepared. Give it up so you can, I won't say get a shortcut, but it will help excel you. It will definitely help excel you.
Exactly. Florence says, you cannot connect. You can, she's okay. I'm sorry, Florence. Since she came and said, I'm taking over the moderator duties.
Absolutely.
Like, you focus on the content. You let me do the stuff. And see, I'm still learning in this. Like I said, this is live. When people from the audience start coming up and say, hey, look, you stay over here. Stay in your lane over there. Let me do this over here. This is just going to add much more value. So I'm staying out of my lane. See, and then I meet with her after the show, and then she give me a debriefing and say, didn't I tell you about getting in that lane there? Get out of that lane. Get out of that lane.
That's beautiful, though, man. That's beautiful to have somebody do it. Remember the old Arsenio Hall show? He used to watch every show with his team afterwards to
Mhm.
take in feedback. And I think there's a lot of power in that. And Florence is really wise in this
Mhm.
area. I haven't known her long, but
Mhm.
I've seen her in other live streams, and so she's on top of it, man. So you're blessed to have that personal relationship, somebody that's pouring into you that's going to make your thing better.
Okay, Florence, I understood you wrote the check. You wrote the check and sent it to James Bush Jr. Prayer Request Live, but
And it
I do.
cleared. It cleared.
And it cleared. He said it cleared. But anyway, hey, if you're getting great value out of this live stream discussion on the pros, the cons on daily live streaming, do me a favor, click that thumbs up button, hit the like button, share this on your favorite social media platform. And if you are a person who wants to learn about more tips and tools on live streaming as a beginner, such as this topic this morning, subscribe to the channel, click the alert notification button, and join the conversation either in the live chat or the comment section. And we'll definitely get to your comments. And so, where are we at? Where are at? Banner. There we go. Uh, we're gonna get this right. See, most of the time I'm always using my slide presentation, and I said, okay, StreamYard has this feature where you can do banners. So I said, let me get
Yeah.
more into the banners section. All right. So we talked about the lessons. Let's get into the changes. And I I got a chance after we met and we had our consultation and you implemented. I mean, I looked on the page, man, an hour later, you were already at work putting some changes. I was like, whoa, wait a minute, brother man moving fast. He changing this, he changing that. So I had an expectation. You created an expectation in me, like, okay, I want to check out the next live stream show he getting ready to do here. And what really floored me was not just because of the changes you did, but the response of the audience. It was the audience that said to you, let's go live daily. But then when the audience saw what was going on, James, you need to pull back. We don't want you to burn yourself out. We don't want you to burn yourself out. And when you finally said, hey, we're going to go to 3 days a week, let me put you on solo and just share briefly in terms of the changes, how the audience responded to them.
Well, as I won't say I was surprised, but it makes logical sense if I was getting burnt out. So it because their their appreciation for what we were doing, and it was really making a difference and touching their lives. And so some of them felt like, they felt bad. They really felt, really, it really were distraught when they couldn't be there. But I tried to encourage them, tell them, this is going to live in YouTube and Facebook. So there's always the replay squad. You always have the opportunity to watch it again. But they understand the power of being live. And so I think once we switched and scaled down to 3 days a week, I could tell it was a refreshing experience for them as well. They were able to kind of catch their breath, organize their week a little bit better. I started noticing they were bringing stuff to the comment section. I was sitting here saying, okay, tonight we're going to talk about this. And they were bringing scriptures and plugging them into that. I'm like, ooh, okay, you guys are, y'all teaching this lesson. I'm just going to sit here and facilitate. You guys are teaching this lesson. It was good to see that. It was refreshment for both parts. And I was, initially I had a little trepidation thinking, am I going to lose folks? And no,
Mm.
actually grew. So
Mhm,
that
mhm,
tells me, it's like the old Bible account of Moses, who
mhm.
was he was leading the nation of Israel. Try to imagine leading over 1 million people through the wilderness, and he's trying to listen to all the squabbles and the quarreling and make judgments. And his father-in-law Jethro pulled him aside, said, "Man, you're gonna burn yourself out. Put folks over the tens and the hundreds and the thousands so that you don't burn out. You just listen to all the top serious stuff." The point is, we have to listen to wise counsel
Mhm,
from
mhm,
time to time. And again, keep the big picture in mind. We don't want to exasperate or run out the people, exhaust them. But we do still want to provide a service and a value for them. And again, change, that great Motown philosopher Stevie Wonder once said everything must change, everything will change. So adjust to change. It's going to happen. It's part of life. It's who we are. We enjoyed the season. A few weeks ago, we had 12 inches of snow here in Nashville.
mm.
Today it's a little rain, but 60 degrees. That's just Lord allows us to enjoy the changes of the seasons. Enjoy change. Change can be refreshing. Keeps things from being boring. That's for sure.
Mhm. Definitely, definitely. And 12 inches of snow when you're
In
supposed to be
Nashville,
getting 12 inches of snow in places like Wisconsin and Minnesota, they
yes,
can't get no snow, or Syracuse, nobody can get no snow, and it's all down by y'all. You
yeah.
talking
It
about you
shut
talking
this
about
place.
changes.
It shut this place down, man. They can't deal with snow. They have too many hills and mountains for that.
Mhm.
I couldn't go to worship because I couldn't get out of my subdivision. I couldn't get up the hill. It was covered in ice. And again, one of the blessings that came from the pandemic was that everybody learned some technology. There
Mhm.
were churches and ministries and individuals who were, oh, I don't do Zoom, I don't do that, and they've learned to adapt to being virtual. They've learned to adapt to accepting technology. So we just slid back down the hill, went back in the house, watched our worship service virtually. We're still able to connect with the saints in the virtual
Mhm.
cyber. We call it the cyber sanctuary. But
Mhm.
for the most part, that's what I'm saying. This pandemic did so much to grow us, and there are people who have built businesses
Mhm.
in this
Mhm.
time frame and are making lots of money. And there are people who are teaching. There are people like myself. We have viewers in Scandinavia,
Mhm.
in Uganda, in Kenya, in South Africa, in the Caribbean, in different states here in the United States. I would have never been able to make that kind of reach had it not been for live streaming and having this ability. So again, as we continue to learn more about YouTube and how to tweak and adjust and change, because change is inevitable.
Mhm.
I think that God will bless those efforts, and I'm counting on it. I'm depending on it. So, like you said, when you told me we had our consultation and you told me things to do, I was serious about it. I was like, I need to do these things. I should have known to do this in the beginning, but I didn't know.
Mhm.
But that's
Mhm.
okay. I know now. And
Mhm.
as the old folks used to say that sit in the front pews, when you learn better, you do better. And
You
that's what I
learn.
was trying to demonstrate to you. It's like you shared some stuff with me, and I was like, let's go. Let's get it done.
There you go. Florence has a question. Have you started thinking about how to how to do vertical live streaming on your YouTube now that you've been able to um,
Yeah, that's a great
as
question,
an
Floyd.
now that it's available. Um,
Yeah.
I'll take it a step repurposing, like you talked about.
Yes, sir.
You have over 400 videos now that you've done, and maybe looking to do some form of vertical content like a short or a vertical live stream for maybe 1 to 2 minutes to provide a word of the day. So whereas instead of you going live, maybe you provide maybe 2 days out of those week you're not live, in providing a quick word of the day. Same way people do it on Facebook all the time. They pick the phone up and they go, okay, hey, how you doing today? It's a great day. Just wanted to encourage you, let you know if you feeling broken today, be encouraged. Broken crayon, steal color, and they create the greatest masterpieces. So you can create your masterpiece. God
Look,
bless. You
look,
know, they
y'all,
do it
y'all,
all the time.
y'all get out of my script. Y'all get out of my book. Y'all, I must have had it open. Let me close it. Y'all definitely, yes, to that answer that question, because prior to, I didn't have the knowledge of, number one,
Mhm,
but I also didn't have the content. But now, to
mhm,
your point, oh, there's lots of content sitting there. There's
mhm,
lots of nuggets sitting there. And
mhm,
so, again, that's going to require a little research. It's going to require some planning,
mhm,
and that will take up a certain amount of time. So that might be something I might have to look into outsourcing, to have some people cut some snippets. I know there's a couple of softwares people have been talking about that actually can look at your content and
mhm. Open
pull.
slips.
I've looked into that. So again,
Mhm,
yes, to that question, yes, that's something I would very much want to do, because again, I think, like I said, we've had great fun
mhm,
being live, but like I said, there are people that weren't able to be with us live, and that content is out there, and they
mhm.
may not know it. And so, short form, vertical version is certainly the way to go. I wouldn't, and now I'm not a coach, but I would encourage people. I would encourage people to do that for sure.
Want to say good morning to our dear auntie from Homemaking with Denise. Auntie Denise with us this morning. It's okay, ma'am. I know whether if you're part of Team Live or Team Replay, I know you're going to be able to bless us with your presence. If you have a question, put a Q in front of the question for James and a C for a comment. Auntie says, I'm going to do our best to read this. I have started about doing vertical live streaming. Didn't know was a thing. I've got a lot of content. Yeah, definitely. Um, my thoughts on the vertical side of content. My thoughts on it. I know it's available. I do it on Instagram, and when I do vertical content, live streaming, I do it more for journaling purposes.
Mm,
Just to
mm,
kind of, because I wasn't going to start a vlog channel and start vlogging, so I'm used to doing vertical live streaming. Um, but at the end of the day, the way YouTube always changes, and maybe my feelings will warm up on it. Long form content seems to be in that niche or that arena of horizontal content. So it's gonna initially you're gonna have that initial rush of people doing it. But at the same time, and I get it, YouTube is probably trying to compete more with TikTok and IG, but this is YouTube's bread and butter. Before
mhm.
they had shorts, before they did, um, vertical stuff, this is their bread and butter with live streaming uploaded videos. And the proof is in the putting in the numbers based on I think I saw a report that YouTube paid out almost close to 19 to 20 million dollars to content creators on
Mm,
YouTube.
mm, mm, mm.
Now, I would probably dare say, if I go ahead and ask Alexa, which is in the other room, so I ain't got to hear about her responding to me, but she would probably say to me that a large percentage of people are watching long form content, and it's probably in horizontal. So that's why I'm initially not wanting to rush to it. You know,
I get
I'm
it.
gonna, you know.
It makes sense, especially in terms of what you do. From a
Mhm.
coaching standpoint, it's hard to give a 1 to 2 minute nugget on a lot of technical stuff
Right.
and a lot of stuff that goes behind. And there's a lot of technical and strategy that goes behind. It's a little difficult to do it in a shorter form. Whereas, but in my niche, hey, everybody needs a quick word. You're sitting there on the bus stop waiting for the
Mhm.
train or whatever, and you just need a word to encourage you. We can get you that in 60 seconds. God's
Mhm.
word is that powerful. And so from your perspective, like I said, so what you're saying, coach, is examine your why, examine your thought, your reason, your niche. What is it? Would this work for you? It may not work in all aspects, but like you said, in what you're doing, I can see that long form is because you have a format where we can ask questions, where we can get
Mhm.
feedback, where we can go back and forth with you. Whereas short form, you put it out there and I can watch it again, but I still may not answer the new question that was generated by
Right. Oh, yeah.
watching
All
the
right.
content.
Definitely, because we're always learning. So, I mean, it has its place. I know recently Instagram just rolled out Instagram Live Producer, and folks rushed to that. And then the overwhelming response was, "Ooh, y'all can go take this and put this back in the oven because this ain't cooked. This ain't done
Mm,
yet. This
mm,
ain't done
mm,
yet." I
mm.
mean, a response of people in the live stream community was like, "Put this back in the oven." This, I was like, I can just do this on my phone. I'm not gonna be trying to do this on my desktop. But hey, I'm excited for growth in technology. Before we bring this train into the station, James, there are people watching this and they're going to be watching the replay and they're going to say, hey, look, I need to go live daily, or I need to do Vlogmas. I need to do Lita. What's your word of advice for them when they get ready to do these challenges, or like you said, they want to go live for a period of time?
Well, the live is not for the faint of heart.
Mm-hmm.
I'll start there. So make sure you really understand your why and your niche. We just kind of talked about that for a second, and make sure that it works for what it is you're intending to do. I think that would be awesome. There goes one of my prayer warriors, Sister Pamela. Good to see you this morning. Thank you for popping in. Make sure you understand your niche. You're gonna have to do your homework. You're gonna have to certainly put together some information to build community. You got to add value to people. It can't be I'm just on here and this is just putting shine on me. And they, because in the beginning, no one knows you, so you got to add some value. Your content is gonna have to be fresh. It's gonna have to be strong. It will consume time, so you're gonna have to build that in. I would suggest, uh, and again, forgive me for all the selfish plugs, but I would suggest getting a guide, getting a mentor, somebody initially to kind of walk you through, get a couple of consultations just to help you lay out your format and your plan. I'm telling you, I miss being live every day, but I understand it was for a reason. It had a purpose, and I'm in a new season. And so my thoughts are change. Things are going to change. Be flexible,
Mm-hmm.
be resilient, be able to move with the change, and do it. If you're doing it for the right reasons, it won't burn you out. And hopefully you'll be able to provide that kind of value to people. But I'm thinking about it, Walton. I'm trying to think about other areas that would need to go live daily.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
thought prayer was wide open.
Mm-hmm.
Great area to go live daily. I don't know many other. If somebody's trying to build their business,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know because I'm not in that arena. That wasn't my
Mm-hmm.
purpose. So I would have to talk to somebody else and get their feedback on that. I don't know if live is the same powerhouse vehicle to use in that regard. But I still encourage you, get a coach,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
uh, get some consultation. Uh, don't try to do this thing alone. I tried. It's lonely when you do that.
Mm-hmm.
Collaboration is a blessing. It's a key. And I
Mm-hmm.
think there's power in that. So I hope I've answered some of your questions. I'm so thankful and grateful for what you instilled in me that helped me. And so, any of the viewers of prayer requests, if you guys want to know what got into me in 2024 and what you're looking at, the gentleman to my, I got to get this right. There he is on that side.
Okay.
This is the coach that helped me sit down and make some better decisions and do some things a little differently. And you all are the benefit of what coaching can provide and mentorship can provide. And again, I'm blessed because he's a believer. He understands what we're doing. And I
Mhm.
appreciate him so very much. Thank you for this platform and an avenue to come and be finally, I've arrived, mama. I'm on the huddle.
There you go. Hey, how can people get more in contact with you and get in contact with Prayer Request Live? Just update them when you're live, like you said,
Oh yeah.
Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Yes, sir. Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 o'clock Central Standard Time. You'll find us. You'll find us on YouTube at James Bush Prayer Request. You'll find my personal Facebook page, James Bush Jr. You'll find me on Facebook. And if you go to my Facebook page, I'm not giving reviews on Taylor Swift or who's going to win the Super Bowl or what Cat Williams said. All you're going to find is spiritual encouragement. I'm here to try to encourage you. God loves you. He's pursuing you. He wants a relationship with you. I'm just trying to keep you encouraged. Don't let what you see going on in the world destroy your spirit and your goals. God's got a plan for you. He wants you to grow, and so that's what you'll find on my personal Facebook. You won't find the gossip, and you won't find. You got to go. There's plenty of places to find that stuff.
Yeah.
You'll find that stuff there.
Perfect. Hey, James, thank you so much for taking time out your schedule and the prayer request live community joining this, Sister Pamela. I'm glad you were able to take time and to be a part of the huddle. You can, I know you just kind of joined us, but you can check out Team Replay and check out the replay of all this great content and wisdom James has been sharing with us. And if you're joining us this morning, let us just know in the chat where you're watching us from. Give us a hashtag Team Live so we can acknowledge you. James, I'm just going to put you right quick in the green room and go over a few announcements, and we're going to chop it up a little after we go off the air. All right?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. All right, Huddle community, prayer request community, live community. This has been some good content. Let me just go ahead right quick. I want to touch on, if I can get this right. How do I do this? Use this all the time. Oh, that's because I'm hitting the wrong button. See, it's one of those every now and then you have those days where you go, how do you do this again? How do you do this again? Just wanted to share some quick announcements with the Huddle community and those of you who are just joining us live this morning. Want to bring some upcoming events that are happening with us here on the Huddle on this coming Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. We've been asked to be a guest on Brother Rollins' YouTube channel. This brother is certainly not a stranger to the Huddle community. He's been on many times as a guest. He's been in the community chat. My man, I call him Mr. 100K. He has over 100,000 subscribers, has a silver play button. So he's asked us to come on and to just do a step-by-step guide on StreamYard. So you can see I'm tuning and sharpening my tools here to get ready for Tuesday. The other thing I wanted to share with you this month, our dear sister Florence is doing her theme for February, Black History Month, Iron Sharpen Iron. And so she's had her first 2 weeks there. Some of the guests, she had Steve Worthy and Cheryl Jones. She's had also Kurt Nugent, and I apologize, Florence, for not knowing the name of the other gentleman you had on last night. So you want to go over to Equip Institute and check that out. I will be a part of the panel discussion with the emotional CEO, the gentleman right to my guest looking to my right, and myself. We will be on next week, so you can join us at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as we are part of her panel discussion. And then just wanted to encourage you, next week we're going to be talking about the importance how to start the process of getting brand deals as a small growing YouTube channel. And so when you talk about a coach needs a coach. You know, Bill Belichick, he was a coach, but he had to go to Bill Parcells. You know, a lot of the famous coaching trees came from successful coaches that were able to transform them into being successful coaches. And so my coach, Mr. Ken Saley, I call him Coach Ken from Ken Consent Beard and Fitness YouTube channel. So he's going to be on next week as we talk about brand deals. And then I just wanted to give you a brief update. We are now on X, formerly known as Twitter. I'm gonna be nice. I'm not gonna go the DMX route. So we are on X now, or formerly known as Twitter. So you can follow us at the Huddle, 3RD. I couldn't do the third like I do across the platforms, but that's at the Huddle at 3RD on Twitter. And then if you haven't checked out our latest YouTube video, someone said to me, "You're always talking about broken crayons, broken crayons." You ever thought about making a video on encouraging people about what you mean about broken crayons? And so that's what we did. You can check that out in our most recent video section there on that is posted. And so we'll, share a couple of brief announcements right before we go off. And so just wanted to share with that. And so again, I want to thank James. I want to thank the prayer request community live for being a part of the Huddle community. And as we close out, we always close out saying, yes, if you are a person, get this right, if you are a person who feels broken today, you feel broken in your emotions, you feel broken because of relationships, or you just feeling broken on the inside as a person, you're like, I just don't know how to create any more content right now because I'm burnt out. I want to encourage you, broken crayons, still color. Get that revelation. Broken crayons, still color. In the hands of a little child, whether if they have a basket of broken crayons, notice they're not in a brand new box, or in a bag of broken crayons. They get them out, getting on the floor and start coloring, and then they run to whoever is important to them, say, look at this great masterpiece. So what am I saying? Regardless of how you're feeling today, you get yourself healed, you look at your analytics, and you take a step back. And as a broken crayon, create your next viral video, your next short, your next live stream, so you can add value to your audience. We'll see you on next week at 11 a.m.